It's now our privilege and honor to pay tribute to the memory of our fellow firefighters who were lost on 9/11 by presenting an award that memorializes the name and legacy of Deputy Chief Ray Downey, one of the greatest fire service leaders of our time. Ladies and gentlemen, please observe the monitors.
Penwell established the Fire Engineering, Courage, and Valor Foundation in 2002 to honor the spirit of the heroic 343 FDNY firefighters that perished on 9/11. Preserving the memory of the firefighters who made the ultimate sacrifice on September 11th and honoring firefighters for years to come, Penwell has set up an independent, tax-free foundation with a goal of raising $1 million. Through generous donations, each year the income from the foundation is awarded to a firefighter or his or her family who has exhibited exemplary courage and valor in a rescue operation during the prior year. The first award was presented in 2002 to the widow and family of Deputy Chief Ray Downey, who lost his life while commanding rescue operations at the World Trade Center attack on 9/11. Deputy Chief Downey was Chief of Rescue Operations and a 39-year veteran of the Fire Department of New York. He was the most highly decorated firefighter in the history of the FDNY. In addition to his great courage as a firefighter, Deputy Chief Downey was nationally known for his pioneering efforts in the field of technical rescue and was the unofficial leader of FEMA's urban search and rescue teams, which he trained for disaster response throughout the United States and the world. Deputy Chief Downey commanded rescue operations at many difficult and complex disasters, including the Oklahoma City bombing, the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and many natural disasters worldwide. For a lifetime of unparalleled service to firefighters and citizens alike, and in remembrance of the courage and valor exemplified throughout his life, the Courage and Valor Award, presented to one extraordinarily courageous American firefighter each year, now bears the Downey name.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Chief Executive Officer of Penwell Corporation and parent company of Fire Engineering, Fire Rescue, and FDIC, my dear friend and mentor, Mr. Robert F. Bianchini.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am again honored to be here with you this morning celebrating the life and legacy of Chief Ray Downey by participating in the 88th Annual Fire Department Instructors Conference. On behalf of all of us at Penwell, we welcome you to FDIC 2015, an event that firefighters have made the most significant firefighting show in the world. As the CEO of Penwell, I am very proud to be here and be able to support and direct the most meaningful fire training educational event in the entire world. Can you imagine putting 6,000 firemen from around North America through the tests in the last several days? This is an amazing operation, and without the help of the group, that 300 that came in, it couldn't be done anywhere else. This morning, I'm here, though, again, to deeply honor and participate in this presentation of Ray Downey's courage and valor. And I have a special story to bring about Ray that touches our state of Oklahoma, where 200 people died just 20 years ago. And I'll get to that. It's touching. Chief Ray Downey was an extraordinary man who I first met 18 years ago, but before that, I called him when He was the head of FEMA 20 years ago, and when the Murrah building went down, my friend Frank Keating, who was the governor, who I was supported, he was a classmate of my two brother-in-laws, and Bill, the president at Georgetown, and asked for if I could get some help for him. Well, I called Ray on the phone, and he said, "I'll be there." And Frank Keating, the governor, he commandeered him, and for 19 days, he was the one who uncovered all the bodies and freed up the people. And this is a little-known story that we don't talk about here with him, but he was terrific. And he came back exhausted, and he wrote a great story on it, and he and Frank became great friends. And in fact, last week, when they had the ceremony, another classmate from Georgetown, President Clinton, mentioned him in his speech. And so, you know, Ray is not just the day he died in New York. He has been brave and a hero his whole life. So I just wanted to put that into the mix here, because we've never really put that up. That I had not met him at that time, and I did meet him when he came here 18 years ago at FDIC, and he was always tethered with us. He wrote, and he was a leader in our magazine, the Fire magazine, of course. And so Ray Downey is a hero for more than 20 years in my book. And Frank Keating and he got extremely close, and we miss him. So I just wanted to insert that. Chief Ray Downey personified fire service courage and valor until his death on 9/11. This morning we gather to honor another American hero, Captain Sean Killelea. Now please join me in welcoming FDIC New York Battalion Chiefs Joe Downey and Chuck Downey, Ray's sons, for the presentation of the 2015 Ray Downey Courage and Valor Award. And let me put a sub-note there. Without these two men, when there are four of us that participate in the selection process, and it's a very difficult, we get write-ups on everything that's put in, and we spend hours on it, but they are the ones that help the most on determining the most courageous person to get the award. And they've been helpful since the inception, and I want to welcome them to come up to the podium here. And Joe and Chuck, we couldn't do it without them. So they are tethered and loyal to their dad to the end, and we really appreciate that. Joe?
Good morning. Thank you, Bob, on behalf of the entire Downey family.
Good job.
Thank you for continuing to memorialize the legacy of our father with this tremendously important award. This year marks the 14th anniversary of that tragic day on 9/11, when we lost our dad along with 342 of our brother FDNY firefighters. In their memories, this morning, we recognize the actions of Captain Sean Killelea, whose actions exemplify the very best in mankind, the very best in firefighters.
But before we tell Captain Sean's story, we want to express our family's gratitude to the Courage and Valor Foundation. We also would like to thank the fire engineering advisors and staffers who are continuously on the lookout for particularly courageous acts to request nominations. The selection process has several components, each involving firefighters from across the country. We receive reports of unparalleled bravery, and it is always an extremely difficult task to narrow it down to just one firefighter, whose actions rose above all others. But in the final analysis, again this year, there was one who stood above the rest. One candidate, whom my brother Joe and I agreed reminded us of his actions, like our father, Chief Ray Downey. Here is Captain Killelea's story.
On the evening of August 5th, 2014, the New Carlisle, Indiana Fire Department responded to a reported commercial fire at KFEX in Willis Township, Indiana. Warren Township Fire Department responded as mutual aid with Squad 18 and a chief officer. Squad 18 members were Captain and Squad Leader Sean Killelea, Engineer David Beckwith, and firefighters Jay Pendergrass and Aaron Karsten. On arrival, Squad 18 was assigned to relay pump from the street to Engine 191. Engineer Beckwith remained with the Squad 18 apparatus to begin the relay pump and drafting operation. The other 3 squad members reported to the command post for assignment. Squad 18 was assigned to staff a 1 3/4-inch attack line for defensive operations that were underway on the southeast side of the building. New Carlisle Assistant Chief Jamie Middlebrook and firefighter Matt O'Donnell were stretching a 2.5-inch hand line with a ground monitor into the attached exposure to try to cool numerous acetylene cylinders stored there, so they would not become involved in the fire. Chief Middlebrook and firefighter O'Donnell were unaware that the fire was in the truss space above the pan ceiling. The truss system failed, and a collapse occurred between Chief Middlebrook and the hose line entering the structure. Chief Jamie Middlebrook and firefighter Matt O'Donnell were trapped. On being notified of the mayday, Command summoned Squad 18's Captain Killelea and firefighters Pendergrass and Karsten, and appointed them as the Rapid Intervention Team. They were instructed to follow the hose line already advanced into the building. They followed the hose line up to the edge of the collapse. The east wall of the collapse was fully involved in fire. Killelea and the firefighters battled horrific conditions. The building was coming down around them. They were surrounded by fire and collapse. Captain Killelea noticed the shine of a flashlight slightly to the right of his view. He instructed his crew to search toward the light. They rapidly visually and physically searched in that area of the collapse. When Captain Killelea found firefighter O'Donnell, his legs appeared to be trapped by collapse debris. Killelea instructed the firefighters to pull O'Donnell backward, while Killelea lifted part of the collapse debris to free his legs. The firefighters were able to free O'Donnell. Captain Killelea performed a rapid visual search for other firefighters in the area where he found O'Donnell. Upon hearing loud cracking, Killelea believed the remaining roof structure was starting to collapse. He yelled to his crew to get out of the structure. Firefighter Pendergrass grabbed firefighter O'Donnell and moved quickly toward the exit. Visibility was now totally lost, and it was extremely hot. Debris began to fall on Killelea's helmet and back. His flashlight showed a reflection to his right. He recognized it as a fuel tank from a truck the crew had passed when entering the structure. Captain Killelea dove toward the tank to protect his head and upper body. After the collapse, he quickly moved toward what he believed to be the exit. He lowered his head and exited the structure. After determining that his firefighters and the victim were safe, Killelea met with command face to face. As the crew doffed their masks and collected themselves, they learned that Assistant Chief Jamie Middlebrook was still inside the fire building, which was now fully involved. After rehab, they assisted with overhauling the fire until they recovered Assistant Chief Middlebrook. He had been buried by the collapsed roof system. Assistant Chief Middlebrook was removed and transferred to an ambulance as a long line of firefighters paid their respects to a fallen hero.
Captain Killelea exemplifies the highest tradition of the fire service by risking his life to rescue a fellow firefighter. His courage, perseverance, and selfless efforts are to be honored for directing the valiant rescue of a firefighter, Matt O'Donnell. Captain Killelea dedicated an aggressive action in saving the life of another firefighter are in the highest traditions of the Newcastle, Indiana Fire Department. For his extraordinary courage and valor, Penwell and Fire Engineering are honored to present Captain Killelea with the 2015 Ray Downey Courage and Valor Award, along with a $35,000 check, Courage and Valor from the Courage and Valor Foundation. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Captain Sean Killelea, the 2015 Ray Downey Courage and Valor recipient.
Thank you. I would like to thank Fire Engineering, Bobby Halton, Penwell Corporation, CEO Robert Biancini, Ginger from FDIC, and Chief Brian Kazmerzak for nominating me, and also for teaching me the fundamentals of the fire service that I still use to this day. I am honored to receive the Ray Downey Courage and Valor Award. It's named after Joe and Chuck and your father. Thank you guys very much. When I found out I was nominated, I read all the nominations, and I read each and every single one of them is deserving of this award. I would like to thank my crew that I had that night, Firefighter Aaron Carson, Jay Pendergrass. Truly, without them, none of this would have been possible. I'd also like to thank Thank you. I'd also like to thank Bob and Carol Middlebrook, Chief Josh Schweitzer from the New Carlisle Fire Department. Thank you guys for being here as well. I'd like to thank my mom and dad, my fiance Stephanie, and my sons Devin and Dylan. Dylan can't be here today because of school. Thank you guys for putting up with me and dealing with me not being home and the long crazy hours, missing school events and holidays and stuff like that. I would also like to thank the members of the Warren Township Fire Department, my Chief Chris Antonucci, Trustee Steve Downey, Assistant Chief Tony Van Overberg, my engineer David Beckwith, Captain Joe Payne, and their families for coming out here to be with us as well. Once again, thank you, be safe, and God bless.